She screamed in pain after a stranger's touch. Then the world mocked her. Eliza Moore, a woman battling an invisible illness, became a viral joke overnight. But one man, a doctor haunted by his own past, refused to let her suffer in silence. What began as a treatment turned into a journey of trust, courage, and a love that healed from the inside out. This isn't just a story about pain, it's about what happens when someone finally believes you. Where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that touch the soul. The clinic smelled too clean, like fresh paint and sharp antiseptic, and Eliza Moore already regretted walking in. She clutched the appointment slip between her fingers like it could protect her, the paper now slightly crumpled with sweat. Everything about the new dermatology center felt sterile, modern, too bright, too exposed. She hated doctors, hated checkups, hated being seen. The echo of her name made her flinch. "Miss Moore?" A nurse called gently from the front desk. Eliza raised her hand stiffly and followed the woman down a long hallway where even the floor seemed to shine with judgment. In the examination room, Eliza sat on the edge of the chair like it might bite her. "We'll just check your temperature," the nurse said, polite and practiced. Before Eliza could say no, the nurse reached toward her arm with the thermometer. The moment her fingers made contact, a lightning bolt of pain surged through Eliza's skin. She gasped and yanked her arm away so hard she nearly fell off the chair. "Don't touch me," she snapped, eyes wild. The nurse froze mid-motion, startled. "I'm so sorry. I didn't." The door opened before she could finish. A tall man stepped in, composed and confident, his presence immediately filling the space. His white coat was crisp, his black hair neatly combed, and his eyes, deep-set and observant, didn't waver. The name tag on his coat read, Dr. Adrian Wells. "Is everything all right?" he asked, voice even but firm. The nurse gestured helplessly toward Eliza. She reacted, "I didn't mean to upset her." Adrian didn't look at the nurse. His gaze went directly to Eliza. "You have tactile allodynia, don't you?" She stiffened. Her walls came up immediately. "Yes," she said, voice tight. "Contact allodynia, to be specific." He nodded, setting his tablet on the counter. "I figured, from how you moved, that wasn't fear, that was neuropathic pain." She squinted at him. "You got that without checking my chart?" "I don't need a chart to recognize real pain," he said simply. "I've seen it before." The nurse excused herself quietly. Eliza sat, arms crossed tightly over her chest, eyes flicking around the room like a trapped animal. "You're the new guy?" she asked coldly. "I am," he replied, pulling a stool over, but keeping a careful distance. "Dr. Adrian Wells. I specialize in immune-related dermatological conditions and neuropathic pain." "Well, lucky me." Her sarcasm was a defense, one she wore like armor. He didn't flinch. Instead, he opened a drawer and handed her a pair of soft white gloves. "Hypoallergenic. For your next visit, to help you avoid direct contact. Just a suggestion." She looked at the gloves, then at him before slipping them on with cautious fingers. "You're different. Because I guessed your condition?" "No," she said, her voice a little less sharp, "because you didn't look at me like I was crazy." He tapped on his tablet screen. "You're on gabapentin and lidocaine cream, right?" "For months," she muttered. "Doesn't do a damn thing." He looked up. "Because they're targeting the wrong mechanism. What you need is nerve retraining. With your permission, I'd like to try a different approach. 8-week protocol. Microstimulation therapy, desensitization in controlled steps." She eyed him like he'd just offered her snake oil. "Just like that? Another doctor thinking they know better?" "Not just like that," he said, steady. "I'm not here to impress you. I'm here to help you stop hurting." She scoffed bitterly. "Why would you care? Most doctors think I'm imagining it." He was silent for a beat. Then his voice dropped. "Because I lost someone to this." Her eyes locked onto his. "My sister," he said. "She was 14. They didn't believe her pain. They said it was psychological. She overused topical medications, got burned, got infected. Her immune system collapsed. She died in a hospital bed after years of being dismissed." The room went still. Eliza felt the words punch the air out of her chest. "I'm sorry." "You don't have to be," he said, "but I do." She looked away, her defenses cracking, but not falling. "So now you're trying to save every girl who reminds you of her?" "No," he replied. "I'm trying to do my job better than I did back then." He stood and handed her a folder, her treatment plan. "Read it. No pressure." Come back if you want to try. As he turned to leave, her voice stopped him. What if it doesn't work? He looked back. Then we try again and again, until something does. For the first time in a long time, Eliza didn't feel crazy. She just felt seen. Eliza hadn't meant to come back. After that first appointment with Dr. Adrian Wells, she had gone straight home, tossed the treatment folder on the kitchen counter, and ignored it like she'd ignored every other promise of help before. It sat there for 3 days, untouched but impossible to forget, a silent reminder that maybe, just maybe, someone had seen through the walls she'd spent years building. That night, she dreamt of fire. Her skin peeled away in thin, invisible sheets, the pain crawling across her arms like phantom flames. She woke up gasping, drenched in sweat, her hands clenched into fists around the gloves he had given her. She didn't trust him, but she couldn't forget how he looked at her, not with pity, not with doubt, but like he actually understood, like he'd been there. 3 days later, her phone buzzed, a message from the clinic. Dr. Wells has left your plan open. Should you choose to proceed, no charge, just hope. She deleted it. She wasn't ready for hope. That afternoon, the city was soaked in the kind of rain that made everything feel heavier. Coats, bags, thoughts. Eliza stood in the corner of a crowded subway platform, trying to breathe through the rising tide of panic pressing against her chest. It had taken her nearly an hour to psych herself up just to leave her apartment for groceries, and now she was regretting every step. The train arrived, packed and steaming with human noise. She stepped inside, hugging herself, her eyes fixed on the floor. And then it happened. An elbow jabbed her side, cutting through her blouse like a blade. The pain was blinding, sudden and electric, blooming beneath her skin like an explosion. She gasped, stumbled forward, clawed for the rail and missed. Her knees buckled. She barely registered the station name as she tumbled out onto the platform, arms wrapped tightly around her torso, trying to contain the fire. She didn't think. She didn't plan. She just moved. Through the rain, past the blinking traffic lights and damp sidewalks, her soaked sneakers slapping against pavement. Her body screamed with every step. By the time she reached the clinic, her clothes were plastered to her skin, her hair dripping into her eyes. The receptionist looked up, startled. I need to see Dr. Wells, Eliza whispered, trembling. He's with a patient right now, the woman said gently. But tell him it's me. Eliza interrupted, voice cracking. He'll know. 10 minutes later, Adrian appeared in the hallway. He didn't speak at first. He just looked at her, soaked, shaking, holding her arms out from her body like broken wings. Then he stepped aside and said, Come in. She sat down in the exam room, teeth chattering, a towel placed gently around her shoulders. For a while, neither of them said anything. The silence hummed like a live wire between them. And then, still not meeting his eyes, Eliza murmured, I changed my mind. But that doesn't mean I trust you. He nodded once. You don't have to. She laughed, but it was hollow. I can't do this anymore. I can't pretend I'm fine when I can't even survive a subway ride without feeling like I'm being burned alive. Adrian sat across from her, hands folded, his gaze steady. My sister Josie was 16, he said quietly. She had a milder form of what you have, but they diagnosed her late. Steroid creams, painkillers, nerve suppressants, her skin thinned, she got an infection, her body couldn't fight it. She died in my arms. Eliza finally looked up. His voice hadn't cracked, but his eyes held everything. Is that why you opened this place? She asked. In part, he said. The rest, maybe to prove to myself that I could still do something that mattered. She exhaled slowly. For the first time since she walked in, her shoulders eased a fraction. He stood, walked to a cabinet, and retrieved a slim white case. Inside were smaller, sleeker versions of the gloves he'd given her before, along with a simple, printed weekly plan. This is part of a trial, he said. No fees, no pressure. It's not perfect. It will hurt, but it's built for people like you. She took the gloves, turning them over in her hands like delicate glass. You said you'd prove it. Adrian met her gaze. Not with promises, he said, with results. She swallowed, her throat tight. What if I fail? Then we try again, he said, together. That night, for the first time in years, Eliza didn't sleep wrapped in fear. She slept wearing the gloves, the folder resting quietly on her nightstand, and when she closed her eyes, the fire didn't come. The first week of treatment wasn't magic. There were no sudden miracles or bursts of relief, just quiet. structure. Pain that lingered like smoke, but for the first time, there was a plan behind the suffering, a reason to endure. Eliza followed the protocol with almost military precision. Every morning she took the anti-inflammatory supplements. Every evening she listened to the audio files Adrian had recorded, his voice calm and low, guiding her through breathing exercises and pain-focused meditation. She changed her diet completely. No caffeine, no processed food, no sugar. It wasn't easy, but neither was waking up every day feeling like her skin had betrayed her. Still, something began to shift. Subtle at first. The way her arms didn't flinch as violently when brushing her pillowcase, how the sharpest pain dulled at the edges, like someone turning down the volume on a lifelong scream. It didn't mean the pain was gone, only that it was no longer her whole world. Each Wednesday, she returned to the clinic, and each time Adrian was waiting. Not a nurse, not a clipboard-holding intern, but Adrian himself, always standing in the doorway like he expected her to show up, even when she wasn't sure she would. He never hovered, never pried. Just asked, "How's the sleep?" and nodded when she replied, "Still 3 hours." When she muttered, "I miss chocolate," he grinned and said, "That means you're still human." Their sessions were short, 20 minutes at most, but they felt like a reprieve, a bubble where she didn't have to explain or apologize or brace herself. He talked her through each touch, each scan, each test, always asking permission, always narrating what he was doing. It wasn't just about the nerves in her skin, it was about her trust, her control, her ability to say stop and be heard. And he listened, every time. It was around the 4th week that the world decided it didn't care about boundaries. She'd just finished a grocery run, her basket filled with oatmeal, bananas, and a bar of 85% dark chocolate, the one Adrian had reluctantly approved in small doses. She felt almost normal. The store had been manageable, the fluorescent lights tolerable. She stood in the checkout line, sleeves pushed down to her wrists, but no gloves on, breathing slow and steady. Outside, the sidewalk was packed. Rush hour, feet, elbows, briefcases, a flood of strangers in motion. She kept to the edge, close to the building. Her heart raced, but she told herself she was okay. Then someone shoved past her. A man in a leather vest reeking of beer and cigarettes, his bare arms smacking into her exposed skin like a hot iron. The pain came instantly, like acid, like fire under her flesh. She screamed and dropped her bag, clutching her arm as if it were broken. The man turned, startled, then scoffed when he saw her on the ground. "What the hell's wrong with you?" he snapped. "I have a condition," she gasped. "Don't touch me, please. I'm not faking it." He looked around at the small crowd gathering. A smirk crawled across his face. "What, allergic to people?" Someone in the crowd laughed. Eliza blinked, tears blurring her vision. "It's called allodynia," she whispered. "It hurts. I can't." "Oh, sure. Another drama queen," the man spat, pulling out his phone. "Grocery store meltdown coming right up." He hit record, aiming the camera right at her as she crouched, sobbing, one hand scraping the sidewalk, the other gripping her seared arm. "Get a load of this, folks. She acts like I stabbed her." "Please," she begged, "don't do this." But he did, and no one stopped him. By nightfall, the video had spread across every platform. The title read, "Princess Panic, Girl Screams Over Shoulder Bump." It had 80,000 views by midnight. The comments were vicious. "Another snowflake looking for attention. Bet she's an actress trying to go viral. Someone give her an Oscar." Eliza sat curled on her apartment floor, wrapped in a blanket, her phone buzzing with each new notification like a steady drip of venom. She deleted every app, unplugged her router, but it didn't matter. The shame seeped through anyway. She didn't go outside, didn't eat, didn't answer Adrian's messages. "Call me when you can," he had written. "I saw the video. I'll handle it. Don't let this break you." But it already had. She was a headline, a punchline, a meme, and worse, she was again the girl no one believed. Not just the girl with the pain, but the girl who people thought deserved it. She turned off her phone, curled into the smallest corner of her bed, and let the world burn without her. Eliza didn't answer the door the first time Adrian knocked, or the second. She sat curled on her couch, hoodie pulled over her head, apartment dim and silent, the curtains closed like the world itself had been shut out. She had shut it out. Her shoulder still throbbed from the encounter, but it wasn't the pain that broke her. It was the look on people's faces, the blankness, the amusement. No one had helped, Not one hand had reached down. They had stared, laughed, filmed. She'd become digital fodder, a freak show, a trending tag. On the third knock, she almost told him to go away. But something in her, the tiniest, shivering part that still remembered how he looked at her that first day, made her open the door. Just a crack. Adrian stood in the late afternoon light, a paper bag in one hand and dark circles under his eyes. "I brought tea," he said simply, lifting the bag. She stared at him for a long second, then stepped aside. Inside, the apartment felt like a shelter in a storm. Too quiet, too dark, too still. Adrian placed the bag on the counter and didn't ask if she wanted to talk. He just boiled water and set 2 mugs on the table like it was any other Wednesday. She sat on the edge of the couch, arms crossed tightly, sleeves pulled over her hands. "You shouldn't have come," she muttered. "You shouldn't be alone right now," he replied. "I'm fine." "You're not." She didn't argue. What was the point? "They think I'm faking it," she said finally, her voice like cracked glass. "They don't care what the truth is." "They're wrong." "I know that," she whispered, "but it doesn't change anything." He didn't speak for a moment. "Then so we change it." Her eyes snapped to him. "By doing what? Posting a pity video? Crying on camera?" "No," he said calmly. "By telling the truth, not with tears, with science, with clarity." She shook her head. "I can't survive another wave of this. I barely survived the first." "You won't be alone this time." The way he said it, quiet, certain, made her believe him, just a little. She studied him. His calm face, his steady hands. There was no pity in his eyes, no judgment, just resolve. "You'd do that?" she asked, incredulous. "I already am." 2 days later, they sat together in a small, softly lit recording studio. The backdrop was neutral, non-threatening. Adrian wore his white coat. Eliza wore long sleeves, no gloves. A screen behind them showed diagrams of nerve endings and highlighted skin sensitivity pathways. They looked like educators, not victims. Professionals, not pleas for sympathy. Adrian spoke first. "This is Eliza Moore," he said clearly into the camera. "She has a neurological condition called tactile allodynia. It's rare, it's real, and it hurts." Animated footage played, tiny nerve endings flaring red from the softest touch, receptors firing abnormally. "It's not imaginary, it's not drama, it's measurable, it's documented, and it affects real people." Eliza's turn came. Her fingers trembled in her lap, but her voice didn't waver. "I never wanted to be famous, especially not like this. But silence doesn't protect anyone, it only lets the lies grow louder." She described the pain, the feeling of fire from a brush of skin, how even hugs were weapons, how shame became a second skin. And then she said, "I'm not angry at those who didn't know, I'm afraid of those who refused to learn." The video ended with Adrian's final words. "She's not asking for sympathy, she's asking for understanding." They uploaded the video that night, unsure of what would happen. But by morning they knew. It had gone viral again. But this time, everything was different. "I had no idea this condition even existed. Thank you for educating me." To everyone who laughed at her, I hope you watch this and learn something. Eliza, you're braver than you know. I have fibromyalgia. I've felt this kind of pain. Thank you for speaking up. She read the comments with her hands pressed to her mouth, tears sliding down her cheeks, not from pain or shame, but from something far more unfamiliar. Validation. She picked up her phone, hesitated, then typed, "Thank you for believing in me, for fighting with facts instead of noise." His reply came almost instantly. "You did that. I just stood beside you." And for the first time in what felt like a lifetime, Eliza smiled. Not because the pain was gone, but because she finally knew. She wasn't invisible anymore. The breeze was soft that morning, or maybe Eliza just noticed it for the first time in a long while. She stood outside the Skin Beyond Pain Center, the place that once symbolized fear and uncertainty, and now felt something like sanctuary. Her fingers, gloved in breathable cotton, no longer trembled. She wasn't sure if the strength came from the treatment or from the way Adrian had looked at her during that video. Calm, unwavering, real. Whatever it was, it stayed with her. Inside, the clinic was bright, peaceful. Adrian wasn't behind his desk, but beside a small counter, stirring ginger tea. "You mentioned last time it helped with the nausea," he said, not looking up. "You remembered?" she asked, surprised. He handed her the cup, careful not to touch her fingers. "I remember everything you say when you're not hiding behind sarcasm." She almost laughed. Almost. He gestured toward the exam chair, now lined with a thick wool shawl she recognized. The one he'd gotten her after she silently shivered through an early session. Still cold? Not today, she said softly. Not anymore. The checkup was routine: skin sensitivity tests, inflammation tracking, diet review. He narrated every step as always, but something was different. She didn't flinch. Her breathing stayed even. When he asked, "Can I test your wrist?" she nodded without hesitation. His gloved fingers brushed the inner curve of her arm, the place that once felt like it was wired directly to fire, and nothing happened. No sharp sting, no instinctive jerk, just warmth. She stared at her wrist, then at his hand, then back to him. "Did you feel that?" he asked. She nodded slowly, but it didn't hurt. "Not at all?" he asked quietly. "Not at all?" She whispered, her voice trembling. It had been years since she could say that. Adrian didn't smile immediately. He just held her gaze, letting the moment settle. Then a gentle smile broke through, soft, grounded, steady. "You're healing, Eliza." She swallowed. Her throat was tight. "It's not just the treatment, is it?" "No," he said. "It's you. It's every step you didn't give up on." Outside the window, the city moved as it always had, cars honking, people bustling, but inside, everything slowed. For a long moment, they just sat in quiet recognition. "I think I'm ready," she said, almost to herself. "For what?" he asked. "To live like I'm not broken." He didn't rush in with affirmations or poetic words. He just nodded, like she'd said the most natural thing in the world. "Then let's take the next step." 3 weeks later, Eliza walked into a sleek downtown design firm for her first day. The application had been a long shot, a whisper of a wish, but they'd called. Offered her a full-time position after a single interview. Adrian had been the one to push her forward, gently but firmly. "Fear is part of it," he'd said. "The difference is, this time you're not alone." She wore a soft, long-sleeved blouse, gloves tucked into her bag just in case. When someone reached out for a handshake, she smiled and said quietly, "I have a rare skin condition. It's manageable, but I take precautions." No one questioned it. One person simply said, "Thanks for letting us know." That was it. No pity, no awkward pause, just respect. At lunch, she laughed, genuinely laughed, over a debate about fonts and someone's cat named Helvetica. She hadn't realized how much she missed the simple sounds of belonging. That evening, she texted Adrian. "First day went okay. Want to hear about it?" 10 minutes later, he pulled up outside her apartment. She slid into the passenger seat, hair pulled into a loose bun, cheeks flushed from the cool air. "Well?" he asked, grinning. "It was weird," she said. "Weird?" "Weird that no one stared. No one treated me like I was fragile. One woman even asked me for color palette advice." Adrian chuckled. "Weird sounds like a good start." She leaned back against the seat, exhaling slowly. "You know the weirdest part? I wasn't afraid of their hands or their eyes." "You're healing," he said, "inside and out." The light turned red. The city paused. Then she added, "What if it comes back one day?" "Then we'll face it again," he said simply. "Not every battle has to be won forever. Some are won day by day." At the next light, he reached into his coat and handed her something, a sketchbook. She opened it. On the first page was a soft pencil drawing. Her, standing under a tree, face tilted to the sun, eyes closed, peaceful. "You drew this?" "I saw you that day, waiting for the bus. I drew it that night." She closed the book, holding it to her chest. Outside, the traffic moved on, but inside the car, time held still. "You don't have to live in the shadows anymore," Adrian said. "You can live and shine, just as you are." And for the first time, Eliza believed him. The story of Eliza and Dr. Adrian Wells reminds us that healing is not always about medicine. It's about being seen, being heard, and being believed. For years, Eliza lived in silence, not because her pain wasn't real, but because the world refused to acknowledge it. Her journey teaches us that invisible struggles deserve the same compassion and understanding as visible ones. It shows us how powerful one person's belief can be in helping someone reclaim their voice, their worth, and their place in the world. Adrian didn't offer her instant cures or empty reassurances. He offered presence. He showed up with patience, science, and above all, respect. Through their connection, we see how empathy paired with knowledge can transform not just bodies, but lives. Eliza's transformation wasn't just physical. It was emotional. She learned that she didn't need to be pain-free to be whole. That bravery doesn't always look like standing tall. It often looks like getting back up after the world knocks you down. The next time we see someone struggling, whether we understand it or not, may we remember, judgment is easy, but understanding takes courage. And sometimes all it takes to change a life is to sit beside someone and say, "You're not alone." Where are you watching this story from? We'd love to know. Drop a comment and share your thoughts. And if this story moved you, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss another soul-stirring journey. See you in the next one.